The Last of Us 2 is my favorite video game of all time. Nothing tops the story for me. It's the only game that made me question my decisions. I had the controller and I was struggling to press buttons because it made me do things that I didn't want to do. I got used to every game just making me take down waves of enemies, but this one really made me question my sense of self and actually made me feel guilty for killing people. There's just so much to talk about in this game, from the story, to the characters, to its theme about the cycle of violence, to its graphics, to its performances. I honestly could do a 10-hour essay on everything. But here's a short little rant on how much I love this game. I want to start off by saying how much I love how the game tricks you and plays with you with its story structure. They put you in the shoes of all these characters that are just trying to figure out their own lives and what it means to be human in a world where humanity is scarce. The structure of the game is what appeals to me the most, and is constantly used as a tool to show you both sides of the same coin. For example, they make you play as Abby at the start of the game, not showing you who she is or what her motives are, but they make you save her from zombies and go on this little journey with her. And as a player, you build a quick little bond with Abby, because you don't want her to die at first, only to have Abby kill Joel, a character that you actually know and associate with. You as the player feel cheated. You feel like you had a part in killing Joel. And from that point on, the game continues to play with their psychology so much. Like when you play as Ellie and kill Abby's friends, who are nothing but targets to you. Like when you kill this dog, only to find out when the story switches that all these people had their own lives too, and that they were just trying to survive on their own journeys. I've never felt a video game immerse me so deeply into each character's arc. It directly involves the player in the emotions the character would feel. Like in any other simpler game, we would know who Abby is, who her friends are, and what their motives are. This would create a strong revenge arc through that exposition, but being in the dark so much during this game, when you play as both Abby and Ellie, not knowing who these people are or what their stories are, is a direct reflection as to how things would work in real life. In real life, there isn't always exposition. You don't know what someone else is going through, or what their story is. And if The Last of Us 2 happened to you, if your father was killed in front of you, you would probably act just as Ellie did, in a way that has no concern for Abby's life, or her trauma, or her friends. They would all be faceless and nameless targets to you, which is exactly the position the game initially puts you in. And then, at the midpoint of the game, it does something that I've honestly never seen another video game do. It tests your bias. It gives you a challenge that you can't beat with your controller. It makes you play as the villain. And sure, there are games where you play as the antagonist, but I'd argue that there's no villain that we'd hate to play this much. The game uses sound design so well, specifically in two scenes that connect my previous points about the game's ambitious story structure. These two scenes encapsulate everything about the cycle of violence depicted in the game, and use sound design as a tool to help the game get its theme across. And it's the scene of Joel's murder, which jumps back and forth from Ellie's point of view to Abby's. The first scene starts with Ellie venturing into the unknown house, only to find Joel being beaten to death. Ellie is held down, crying, begging Abby to let Joel go. This, paired with the confusion as to who these people are, makes her and us, the player, more and more agitated and desperate. And when Abby strikes that final blow, the music deafens, capturing exactly how it would feel in that state of anger and devastation, unable to hear anything or anyone.
Please get up! I'll fucking kill you!
This state that Ellie is in represents and foreshadows exactly how the rest of her story will play out to a point, in a total deafened state of anger, without thinking of the consequences and without listening to her friends. And the second scene that brings this moment full circle is when we see Abby's point of view. With her story, the context completely changes. The scene starts with Abby's dead father, and as she cries, being the helpless little girl that she is, at her lowest point in the story, the camera transitions to her standing above the man that murdered her father, striking the final blow. But with an empty sort of sound reaction. It didn't fill that hole inside of her. She doesn't feel accomplished in what she's done. She isn't at peace. We then get to hear the other characters speak, while Ellie screams in agony, which sets the tone for the rest of Abby's story, her journey for peace, while facing the consequences of her actions. And although I bought Abby's motive the second she reveals who her father is, I still didn't want to play as her. Looking back, this surprises me as well because I love being the devil's advocate, and I love seeing the other side of things, and I was still hesitant. This part of the game tests you as a player and as a person to see if you can drop your hatred and see the world through Abby's eyes. The way that Abby is humanized and the way that she has her own journey for peace with Lev is a direct parallel to Joel and Ellie's journey. Abby's journey in empathizing with the enemy really made me see how much of a difference perspective makes and really made me buy into her story. And as the game progresses, slowly, every face that we killed with Ellie turns into a real person. I've never played a game that made me feel so guilty for killing. I mean, we play these games to experience that, right? But I truly felt like a murderer in every instance of the game as Abby's story unfolded. We meet Nora, Manny, Mel, Owen, and we get to see their dynamic over time. Their drama, their friendship, their heartbreaks. But the more we learn, the worse we feel because we know that as Ellie, we've already killed them. The reversal in this game is just beautiful. One scene that caught me completely off guard is the entire sniper battle. Abby and Manny are pinned down by a sniper who stops you at almost every turn. And I swear they made this entire sequence so hard just to show you how it really feels to be in someone else's shoes when you're being hunted. The sequence progresses as the sniper baits zombies to come and kill you, and then into a long chase where Manny gets shot right in front of you, mid-sentence. Abby scrambles in shock with Manny's blood still on her face. And in this moment, I actually wanted to push onwards and kill whoever killed Manny. Only to find out that it was Tommy, the same person who we were rooting for at the start of the game. It shocked me as to how the game was able to evoke the emotion of anger and the feeling of revenge from me as I aggressively pushed forward to kill Tommy, Joel's own brother. And I think this game solidified itself as a masterpiece for me when I made the connection about the aquarium. For Ellie, it just seems like a place we need to go in order to kill some enemies and find out some information about Abby. But as Abby, we find out that the aquarium was a gesture of love from Owen. It was Abby and Owen's spot, one that they kept as a refuge, untouched by the plague surrounding them. And when Abby walks back into the aquarium on Seattle Day 3 and sees the dead dog, I felt a surge of guilt, knowing what awaits. A dead Owen and a pregnant Mel. Feeling worse knowing of what Abby and Owen shared in this very place, and how their love was cut short due to her growing need for revenge. The cycle of violence has never been depicted with such prominence in comparison to almost any piece of media. This is because you are the one controlling everything in this game. You get to experience it firsthand, as you would in real life. But after Seattle Day 3, I was honestly completely aligned with Abby. I understood her anger, but when she reaches the theater, I had a complete loss of self. I didn't know who to side with, or what to do, to the point where I had to put the controller down, and no other piece of media has had this effect on me.
You killed my friends. We let you both live, and you wasted it.
And possibly one of the best boss fights happened during this scene, where I regret pressing each button. And the game really tests you outside of the medium, seeing how far you can go when you lose your sense of bias.
Stop! She had nothing to do with it. She's pregnant.
And after that intense scene, when both stories converge and we know exactly what is going on, the game takes a slower beat, showing Ellie's PTSD and Abby's desperation in protecting Lev, as he's the only thing she has left. We all know how the game ends, and just that final push that exemplified the cycle of violence was beautiful. Ellie loses everything in that last push to kill. She loses the life that she had with Dina and Jesse's son, the same way that Abby lost all of her friends when she killed Joel. The parallels and circular nature of the game has me coming back to it every time. Once Abby and Ellie have their final face-off, Ellie lets Abby go, which had a very controversial impact on the gaming world. And it honestly isn't clear why to me. She sees a flashback of Joel and then lets her go. I'd imagine that a visual of seeing Joel happy like that would make Ellie even angrier and finish Abby off. But it kinda looks like she realizes that killing all those people throughout the story didn't make it any better. And yeah, I don't have a straight answer as to why she let Abby go, but to me it seemed like it had to do with peace and how it's personified in the game. I noticed that Abby is unable to sleep and is constantly haunted by dreams throughout the game. Like, Abby is not fully at peace even after she kills Joel. We get a lot of gameplay of her dreaming about her father's death and waking up from nightmares. And the only time that she's at peace and sees her dad happy is when she saves Yara and when she empathizes with the enemy. So in terms of Ellie, it may be unclear why Ellie let Abby go in that moment, but I think that she felt like she wouldn't find peace by killing Abby, that she needed to let Joel go and forgive herself first, because Ellie is mostly mad at herself for cutting off Joel and not spending time with him before he was killed. It was that regret that was driving her anger, coupled with everything else. Ellie is also angry at Abby because just as she opened herself up to the possibility of forgiving Joel, Abby stole that chance away from her. She had already lost so much by the time that Abby was drowning, and I think that maybe she just didn't feel what she thought she'd feel when she was killing Abby. And maybe she felt like she was killing the memory of Joel that she had left, as she lost herself in this final act. And so she ends the cycle, she lets Abby go, and finally starts fresh. No one is good in this world, and a lot of people are beyond forgiveness, but at least Ellie gets to start somewhere. This is my favorite video game of all time. The story structure, characters, parallels, reversals, and themes keep me coming back every time. No other game has tested me and taught me as much as this one, and I will always love it.